Hey guys, Frosty Knives here, back with another EU book review. And today we're going to be taking a look at Karen Miller's Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Wild Space. This book was published in 2008, and it clocks in at 342 pages. This is the first of the four oversized trade paperback novels that we're gonna get into. These were written specifically about the Clone Wars animated show. So this is almost like supplemental material for that show, and it also includes things that happened in the show. They reference a lot of things from those episodes. This is also the second five-star Clone Wars book that I have read. So just when I was feeling down in the doldrums about how the Clone Wars read was going, and feeling like it was a little bit drudgery work, along come these books, and all of a sudden these are actually really good and sort of exciting books. So it kind of pulled me out of that miasma that I was in about the Clone Wars, and now, at least for the next couple of books anyway, we'll see if that energy keeps up and we keep going with them. So let's talk about what's going on in this book, because there's a couple of things, a couple of different storylines that she has going on here. So first off, the book actually starts immediately after the battle on Geonosis, like seconds after the battle, right? We get sort of a flashback, and we get to hear about how Obi-Wan and Padme and Anakin, Yoda, and Mace Windu, as they're wrestling with what just happened, right? The slaughter of the Jedi and Count Dooku and the Separatists and the Droid Army, everything that just happened, the clones coming in, and now they realize they're in a war, and they're all trying to process that, right? Yoda and Mace are trying to process the fact that a lot of Jedi just got slaughtered. And they were the ones who sort of brought the clones in, so they sort of feel responsible that the war is, they sort of started this war. So they wrestled with a lot of that in the beginning, which I liked. I thought that was a good touch, right? We don't really talk about how they felt. When you watch the movie, you read the book, it's like the battle ends and then boom, they're off to do something else. So there wasn't any real time for reflection, for letting what just happened sink into them. And so she put that in, and I thought that was a nice little callback to the battle. And then the book jumps forward to present time, and we're back to present time to right after the last book that we just read, right after the Clone Wars book with Anakin and Ahsoka. So there's actually two sort of storylines that are happening here. And it all sort of begins with Obi-Wan. So Obi-Wan gets a message from his friend Dexter Jetster. You remember Dexter? The four-armed guy in Attack of the Clones that owned the diner? He apparently has a spy network. And he got some information that he wanted to pass along to Obi-Wan. So Obi-Wan goes to his diner and gets the information, and you find out that the information is actually General Grievous's battle plans. They know, because he's been striking different planets and different systems, they know the next planet that Grievous is going to attack. And that's the planet of Bothui, the Bothan homeworld, because the Separatists figure that if they can disrupt or destroy the Bothan spy network that they have, that will really put a hurting on the Republic. So Obi-Wan takes that information and he rushes back to the temple because he needs to go tell the council. And along the way, the Separatists decide to we don't really know specifically who, we just know it's the Separatists. They decide to bomb Coruscant. So 4 explosions go off in the middle of downtown Coruscant. And one of those explosions takes out Obi-Wan. Takes out his shuttle. So Anakin has to go rescue him, and he does, and Obi-Wan tells him what's going on. And so he brings Anakin brings Obi-Wan to the med bay because he's out of commission, and he brings the information that Obi-Wan had to the Jedi Council. And Yoda said, this is pretty important information, so someone needs to go and find out what's going on. And since Obi-Wan is out of commission, you go, Anakin. So Anakin gets his own battle fleet, and he takes Ahsoka and R2 and Captain Rex and a bunch of clone commandos and starfighters, and starships, and he goes to Bathory to take on Grievous. And that's the last we hear about that story. Because that battle, the Battle of Bathory, was actually an episode of the Clone Wars. So that battle took place in the animated show. So then we go to the second story, which is Bail Organa. Bail Organa also has a spy network. Apparently everybody at this point in the Star Wars universe has a spy network. Dexter Jetster has one, Bail has one, Palpatine's got them all over the place. The Bothans got one. Everybody's got one. So Bail Organa has a spy network called the Friends of the Republic, and they give him a message, and that message is that the Sith have something, that the Sith are planning to attack the Jedi, and the Sith have something that they're going to use to attack the Jedi with. And it's on this planet called Zigoola. It's out in wild space, and it's on this planet, and the Sith have this thing, and we don't know what it is yet, but they're going to use it to hit the Jedi. Okay, kind of vague. So he tells Obi-Wan about it, and then Obi-Wan tells the council, and again the council says, this sounds important, maybe you should go check it out. So Obi-Wan and Bail Organa go on Bail's personal yacht to fly out to wild space to Zigoola. Now, this whole plan of getting the two of them to go to Zigoola, this whole plan is orchestrated by Palpatine, by Sidious, because he's trying to get the two of them killed. It's obviously a trap. It's an obvious trap. And he's trying to get them killed. He's trying to get Organa killed and Obi-Wan killed because he wants them out of the picture. They don't know it. We know it. Sidious knows it. So off they go. And they finally get to Zigoola, which is a barren, dark side planet. And they investigate it, and after much investigating, they really do discover that it is a trap. And then the rest of the book is them surviving this planet. Which they do because characters like Bail Organa and Obi-Wan, they have plot armor, right? We know they're not dying. We know that none of the main characters at this point in time are dying. So we know there's really no inherent danger. You can beat them up as much as you want, but you can't kill them. So it was nice to see, but there's no real sense of danger. However, they do survive, and they wind up getting rescued, and they come back, and, of course, at the end of the book, Palpatine overhears that Organa and Kenobi have survived, and he's basically like, Drex, foiled again. Next time, I'll get you next time with a better trap. I mean, it's kind of melodramatic, I guess, a little bit, and it wasn't that melodramatic, but that's kind of how I read it. Foiled again, you and your little Jedi. That's how the book ended. And overall, I really, really, really liked this book. And one of the two main reasons that I really, really like this book, first main reason was the relationship between Bail and Obi-Wan. Now, we know that Obi-Wan and Bail are friends. At least, they're friends enough that at the end of Sith, Obi-Wan gives Bail and his wife Leia to take care of. I mean, that's a really, really, really important secret to take care of, and he trusts them enough to do that. But at this point in the Clone Wars, they don't really know each other, so it's good to see where that relationship started, and it really started on this planet. At this point, it's no secret, Obi-Wan doesn't like politicians, doesn't like them at all. So he distrusts all politicians. And Bail, it's not that he doesn't like the Jedi or really distrust the Jedi, but he doesn't understand them. He kind of finds them arrogant, and he feels that they can be kind of high and mighty and haughty, and he feels that they're kind of like these mystical beings, and doesn't really understand them, and doesn't understand the Force and the dark side and the Sith and all that. So he kind of sees them as sort of like apart from everybody else. So there is this distrust between both of them at the beginning, and they have to sort of negotiate each other's paths in life. Obi-Wan, realizes that that Bail, yes, he's a politician, but really at his core, he's a decent human being, and he's trying to do what he feels right. And Bail says, yes, Obi-Wan is a Jedi, but he feels that he's more grounded than other Jedi. He's more relatable. So there's this whole sort of how does this relationship start, and this whole bonding between the two of them. And of course, as they go through the planet, they crash on Zigoola, and they go through this survival scenario, they really, really start to bond over this. I guess a lot of it is trauma bonding, but, Bail realizes that the Sith are really dangerous at this point, because if they can really hurt Obi-Wan like they did in the book, if something is that powerful enough to take on a Jedi, then that is something that they need to keep an eye on. And of course, by the end of the book, they're like brothers in arms. They've gone to war together, and they've forged a bond, and have forged a pretty good bond of friendship. So I like that. I like that we get to see the beginnings of this relationship and how they become friends. Because Obi-Wan isn't really friends with a lot of people. Padme is one, and Organa now is another. It's like he says in the book, like he feels like he's collecting politicians. So I liked to watch that relationship. That was good. Some good character arc and relationship building between the two of them. The other thing that I liked was Zigoola. We got to see a dark side planet for the first time. Now, if you're reading this chronologically, like we are, then this is the first time you're introduced to concepts like dark side planets and Sith holocrons. If you have been reading sort of in publication order, then you would have read a whole bunch of this stuff beforehand. But chronologically speaking, this is the first time we see a dark side planet, and this is the first time we run into a Sith holocron. Now, we're going to run into all of this later on. We're going to come upon many holocrons and Sith artifacts, and dark side planets and dark side energies and all things going on. But this is the first time we read it chronologically, and Zigoola was really good. It was this dark, barren, dead world shrouded in the dark side. It was like dripping dark energy, and there was a Sith temple on it, and they find all kinds of Sith artifacts and a Sith holocron who's projecting dark Sith messages, and we get to see how much it really messes up Obi-Wan being in that much dark side energy, and I liked it. I liked the whole thing about it. I liked the planet, I liked the energy in the temple, I liked what was going on and how Obi-Wan had to battle against it. It was really, really good stuff. Really enjoyed reading it. And I was glad to see that we finally get to see this Sith planet, as it were. So those were the two real good things that I liked about this book. One of the other plot threads that was in the novel, which again is talked about in the animated series at one point after Anakin defeats Grievous at Bothawi, he winds up telling Obi-Wan that he lost R2. Yeah, he loses R2 in the battle. He's like, I can't find R2. I don't know where he is. And then you never really find the resolution of that, which I believe the search for R2 is a Clone Wars animated episode. So that can be sort of a drawback if you've not watched the animated series like I have. They reference a lot of things that you don't really get to see. You don't get to see the Battle of Bothawi. You don't get to see the rescue of R2. They don't really talk about it because she's writing these books around episodes, weaving them in between episodes, and it really is on, as its own. It's a supplemental material to the Clone Wars. Still one hell of a book. I enjoyed it immensely, and I would recommend reading it because I thought it was really, really well done. Well done writing. Kudos to Karen Miller for writing that book because it's pulling me out of my Clone Wars doldrums, and I'm really looking forward to at least this stretch of the Clone Wars. So guys, that's my review of my second 5-star rated Clone Wars novel. The next book that we're going to be reading is going to be Karen Travis's Clone Wars No Prisoners. See, another one of those trade paperback style. There's 4 of them in that size. I'm not sure why they decided to print them in trade paperback style, but kind of messes with the feng shui of my bookshelf, but I just put them down here on their own shelf. So guys, that's my review. And what did you think? Did you like it? Have you read it? Have you watched the animated series? Did you like that or did you not like that? Let me know what you think about the books or the show or the reviews down in the comments below. And as always, give it a thumbs up if you like it. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a share. Share it around. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. Tell people who really want to see a good Obi-Wan and Bail buddy movie / book, because that's really what this was. And until next time, I will see you in the next review.